Welcome to the Flourishing Founders podcast, where I interview inspiring Canadian entrepreneurs about the highs and lows of taking the leap of faith and starting their own business. My name is Ashley Deering. I'm the owner of Deering Media, a Fredericton, New Brunswick-based digital marketing agency. Let's jump into the episode. All right. Good morning. Happy Sunday. Welcome back to another live with me, your host, Ashley, of How Endearing and Deering Media. Today is a special live because we actually have one of my clients coming on the live stream today. Samantha Walters is the owner of Beauty Prodigy, which is a local spa slash brow lash bar here in Fredericton, New Brunswick. Hang on, we're telling more of your followers to join your video. Thanks, Instagram. So, Sam, oh, yay, there she is. Hold on, she's coming on. Come on over. I think I did it, Sam. Okay, so Beauty Prodigy is a spa slash beauty bar here in Fredericton, New Brunswick. They specialize in lashes, brows, tans, sugaring, vajacials, like you name it, these girls do it. Sam is somebody who started as a lash technician herself. She taught herself with a course before they were grandfathered into their licenses. Hold on. Did I add you? Yay! Okay, I was like, did I do it right? I'm still trying to get used to this too. You're more of a live expert than I am. You've done more at this point.
What's that?
You've done more lives than me at this point. I was like, well, I better start doing it if I'm telling my clients to. Good morning. Thank you for joining us. I especially appreciate Sam joining us today because she was in California at LashCon. She's in her Lash PJs with us today.
I am. I'm totally wearing my Lash PJs. They have, like,
I love it. You're representing. No, she's been through a lot, especially a big time change. So she is here joining us on a Sunday morning, and I really appreciate it because it's this girl's day off and she works hard. So, good morning, my friend.
Good morning.
We are here to talk about your really adventurous rebrand that you took on during a pandemic. I think you could be a really big source of inspiration to basically anyone, not even just business owners. You've pushed through so many obstacles. You had so much courage throughout some hard parts. You had to see things through to the end and not seeing results for, months at a time and letting things slowly grow and having patience with it. You're truly an inspiration. So I wanted to bring you on to talk about your experience from, starting up as just yourself as Vogue Lash Studio, expanding and rebranding to Beauty Prodigy, hiring staff. We're going to go through it all. So are you ready to be on the hot seat?
Sure, yeah. And definitely start to, like you said, I mean, there is a long story because I've been doing this for 6 years. One of my favorite things that I always like to tell people too is that despite like the long history that I had and the road that I took to get to where I am now, it also started with you a year and a half before you even jumped on board, which is one of my favorite parts about the whole story is like when you and I had ever sat down to talk about this and you were just kind of like, okay.
Okay, let's put some context to that because that's hilarious. So Sam and I got together, would it be 2-3 years ago now?
I think it was February 2019, so a whole year before COVID had even happened.
Okay, so Sam came to me while I still owned Creative Supply. So we were doing photo and video at the time, but I always had a flair for marketing and a passion for that kind of stuff and social media. And you and I sat down for a coffee and Sam was like, here's what I'm doing now. I'm renting out this space above the hospice. It's just me. Or you had one other person, I think, that was renting with you, and you had the bed in there, and it was a small operation. But Sam was sitting here talking to me, and I'm trying to enjoy my Milltown, but she's going on about all these hopes and dreams and these huge aspirations that she had for herself. And I was like, well, oh my gosh, like, where do you even start with this? All the different directions you wanted to bring things into. It was insane. And I remember you bringing me to go look at your space at the time. And I remember walking in there and I was like, look, I don't even know this girl, but I'm going to tell her my honest opinion, which is just how I am. But I was looking at the small space that you were in, and I knew the potential that you had to grow. And I was like, this doesn't equal. This doesn't make sense. Something's got to give here. Something's got to change. And
So
it's
true.
amazing that we're sitting here 2-3 years later, and you have built Beauty Prodigy. You have built jobs in our community. You're teaching courses. Like, Sam, I'm so proud of you. It's so amazing. So my first question actually for you is, set the scene for us. How did you become a lash technician yourself? How did this begin?
Well, funny enough, I also noticed when I was at LashCon that all of us are very much the same breed and that we all similarly ended up the same way. So everybody that I met there was like, so I was getting lashes. And I was too. I was going to a girl that was just down and around the corner in Russia Gornish, and she was doing my lashes. I'm very analytical. I come from a forensic science background and a medical admin background, so I want to know how everything works, why, forward, backward, inside out. I want to know everything. And I'll ask you the same question 3 or 4 times in hopes you'll tell it to me different ways so that when I understand it solid. So that's what I was doing with my lashes. And at one point, this girl was like, listen, will you just go take the damn course? You ask so many questions when you're getting your lashes done. I'm tired of answering them. Please go and get your lashes done, which was actually kind of humbling. It came full circle just a little while ago. She started coming to me. The girl who did my lashes actually came full circle, which was really, really cool. It was amazing to have her on my table and lash her. It was so cool. But anyway, that's how I became a lash tech. I was at a point where I was on a layoff. My daughter was 3 years old and I was looking for work and I didn't know what I wanted to do. I'm from Newfoundland. Working in medical and science fields is very difficult in New Brunswick when you're not bilingual. I will be truthfully honest, that's very hard. And I wasn't bilingual, and I decided to settle in Fredericton and live with my family because of what my husband does for a living, and so it made it very difficult. And then I figured, well, if I want to make the money that I do and I want to grow, and I have to go against the odds of all the language requirements here, then I have to create work for myself. So I started working out of my home in 2000. I took my first course in August of 2016.
So you've been on this journey for a while.
I have been, yeah. And it's back when I took my course, it's very, very different than the course that you would take now. Because when I took my course, lash extension technician licenses were unregulated in New Brunswick. So it was the Wild West.
So much has changed. And something we can even touch on is that you're a part of the association here in New Brunswick, the Cosmetology Association. That's incredible, Sam.
I am, and that is also unheard of. Last year I was the only serving lash technician. I still am the only serving lash technician, but for many, many years, the Cosmetology Association of New Brunswick was ran by dominantly hairstylists, and I threw my name in the hat. So to be on there showing a different vision or like just a different perspective has been very valuable, and also kind of learning the way the association works and how things are regulated has been very beneficial, and just understanding the industry as a whole.
And it falls very in line with who you are, needing to figure out all the pieces and stuff, right? It makes sense that you're there. Did you always see yourself expanding into Vogue Lash Studio at that point? Like, did you have a vision of someday having employees, or did you think it was just going to always be kind of your own thing?
So, if you'd have told me a year ago I was going to have employees, I'd have laughed in your face.
And look at you now.
Guys, if you're watching, I love you guys. But yeah, I was solo in my home at a time when my daughter needed me to be solo in my home, where I could stop work at 2 o'clock and I could get her from the bus and I could be here. and that was important to me. We did that out of our first home, and then we bought our second home in 2017, and I worked out of this one as well and took clients. And then just at some point, when Claire got a little older, I looked at my husband and I said, I think I need to expand into the city, because we don't live in the city. We live out in the country. And I said, I need to expand because I wanted the foot traffic. I wasn't getting the traffic that I wanted out here. So I found the smallest affordable suite that I could and moved there. And it was good. It was great. I was there for a year. Yeah, I was. Okay, okay, I think of the timeline. I moved in October 2019, and I was only there like 5 or 6 months, and then the world shut down.
Yeah.
So I had people, that was hard because I had people begging because they knew that I could. I had the setup at my house during lockdown to take them at my house. I couldn't. So we shut down and I got to move back in June, and then I was only there through the summer and took on my first student and then hired another and another and then couldn't stay there anymore. So totally not intentional. I just started getting calls from students who said, listen, I'm in aesthetics, but I want to do my work term with you and only you, because when I graduate, I only want to do lashes. So I want you to take me under your wing. I want you to teach me. So I did. And my first one I ever took on, she was a former esthetician and was just not practicing and still held her license, but didn't learn lashes in school. And I taught her everything for free because I'm also the only lash technician actually in the city who holds the National Lash Artists Association accreditation. So when you do that, it's to show that you truly are in it to create community over competition. You mentor, and you teach, and you help people grow. You help them improve their skills. They don't have to be a part of Beauty Prodigy to do that. And so back then I was a part of Vogue. I joined the National Lash Artists Association accreditation list, and I took her on and I taught her, and I taught her for free. And so from then on, I took on students and then hired them. So yeah, I expanded unintentionally.
For you, it just was something that, you know, you kept taking stuff. It was a risk for you to even go and take that lash course and, you know, pay that initial investment and do that. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it was a series of risks and steps and believing in yourself, and you were able to create this business. It's so incredible, Sam. It's such a fun story.
I think looking back in hindsight, the reason why I hire my people, my team, I built my team, is based on the fact that I'm passionate about educating. I'm passionate about learning. I'm always learning. I'm always training. I'm always bringing in new stuff. You ask my girls how often I throw new products in their face. They're like, every week. She's like bringing in something every week. Here's a new glue. Try it. Here's a new tweezer. Try it. All the time. And I feel like my goal was never to expand and own this salon. It was, my goal is to always educate. And so I don't see it that way. I've always seen it as, I want to see people grow. And in hindsight, I think that's just, that came with it. It came with it.
About the industry too for you. Like, you want to improve the overall industry here in New Brunswick, the education, the standards. Like, that's always been something so true to you and your mission of Beauty Prodigy or Vogue. So that's something I've always like loved about you and how your approach to things.
Sorry, my phone just went a little funny. One sec.
That's okay. Can you hear me?
One sec. Okay, we're back. I don't know what happened, but okay.
That's okay. So let's jump into our next question. What gave you the push to rebrand from Vogue Lash Studio to Beauty Prodigy? Why did you do that?
So as a true entrepreneur, I'm sure you feel this too. Our minds are going like all the time. And even like laying in bed at night, it's like, it could be you get ideas. It's like, did I turn off the wax pot? That like it's all the things, right? So my mind is going like all the time about ideas and just staying ahead of the industry or ways to improve, like you said. And I've had, believe it or not, the name Beauty Prodigy has been like tucked away. I have a notepad in my phone. There's a little note section with business ideas and names, and there's like a word bank. And Beauty Prodigy has been in there since probably 2018. Now, here's the thing. When I get ideas, I put them in this notepad late at night, and I just, if I don't know what they mean, they just go there.
Yeah, dump it
And
out.
so it went there to live, and then it's like tucked away in a little file folder in the back of Samantha's mind. And then sometimes something happens and I'm in a situation where a light bulb goes off in my brain and I'm like, that's what that meant. And I'll go back and I'll like pull out that file and I'm like, here it is, like, let's go. So what happened was Beauty Prodigy got tucked away. Just this name, just this idea, this business name went into this file folder because I knew that I would also own more than one company or business at some point. Anyway, and we'll get into that later. But I was sitting there when we were expanding with our team, and right around the start of the pandemic, probably just before, I thought to myself, people aren't picking up on getting the words. They're not picking up on the fact that I expanded, I moved. It's not just me.
Yeah.
And what had happened was from 2016 to 2019, 2020, everybody knew Vogue is Samantha's face. I'm the face of Vogue. I am it. Vogue is Lashes. Vogue is Samantha. Vogue is the salon. And it became very hard to show people that we'd become so much more. So I thought to myself, if I rebrand and just play it as brand new salon in Fredericton, new salon coming, and just kind of blew it out of the water that way, people would see it as a salon team and that they weren't thinking Vogue anymore. They're thinking all new faces, all new services. And it actually worked.
It did.
Worked.
How do you feel about it now that we're several months down the road? Like, we launched in May, I want to say, and now it's November. Like, how does Beauty Prodigy feel now that it's on? Like,
the realization set in at LashCon when I was being recognized and my team was being recognized, and yeah, like that was the realization for me. And not only that, but you meet so many people. So right off the bat, the first day, they make you do this giant circle and then a giant inner circle, and you all face each other, and they set a timer, and you move to the right, and you meet and shake hands, and you tell your story with it. It was like speed dating for Lash.
Speed dating, yeah.
It was hilarious. We were all calling it speed dating for lash artists, but it was amazing because we were all excited, and even like everyone was like, I was more invested in this than I ever was in any speed dating, because there to actually meet the same, if you go on a date, you kind of know something a little bit about somebody where it's like you're actually really excited, but others you're not really excited because you're just humoring them kind of thing. Yeah. But it's like in this LashCon, in that moment, it was like, oh my God, we're all here to meet everybody and hear all the stories. And the realization was we were all there for the same thing. We were all there because we hold the same passions, but a lot of us had similar stories, which made us feel like we weren't alone. No matter what, even in business struggles. It was amazing. So I have like tears. I've been like crying over LashCon for days. I've been crying over that place for days. I'm so happy. But it was the realization that it worked because I was speaking my story. Because for up until now, I've been just I keep floating, but it's just head down, headstrong. It's business. I've got to go to work. Here's my plan. I've got things to do. I've got people to tend to. I've got paychecks to ensure I have people's livelihoods. Yeah. I'm responsible for people's livelihoods. So it was always like I'm on like business all the time. And being at LashCon, telling my story about what is Beauty Prodigy was a big realization. Because Beauty Prodigy, I mean, yes, I've built my business and my reputation since 2016, but now for the last 6 months, I've been instilling all of that into 5 other people. Yeah. And realizing that it's taken me 6 years to get where I am. I can't imagine what it's going to look like when I see those 5 girls in 6 years.
I'm going to cry, Sam.
I know. That's why I came disheveled, okay?
You knew.
I was like, I'm preparing for this. I'm going to prepare for this. But
Oh God, that's so beautiful. Well, that ties in perfectly to my next question, which is why Beauty Prodigy? Can you explain the significance of like what Beauty Prodigy means to you, and why did we why did we pull that out of that folder years later and go with it?
yeah, so Beauty Prodigy, again, it was sitting in a little notebook as a business idea and a business name in a word bank for like 4 years. Didn't know what it meant. But so I became a lash tech the hardest way. Back when I took my course, it was a 2-day course in a hotel room, and it was unregulated, and there was no license in New Brunswick, which meant every single lash tech in New Brunswick who's become a lash technician before May 2017. So we're talking somebody who says, I've been doing it for 6 years, someone who says I've been doing it for 7, 8, 9, 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
You took a 2-day course, or you probably taught yourself on YouTube and were lashing in somebody's kitchen. And that's the cold hard truth about lash techs who are been doing it for X amount of years, because it wasn't regulated. You didn't have to go to school. So I did it with through Extreme Lashes Canada. It was a 2-day course in Moncton, and I was very lucky. Not everybody was so lucky. A lot of people taught themselves through the internet, become a lash tech. But I took this course in Moncton. I was very lucky. The girl who taught me had been an instructor at Medez. She trained in England as an esthetician. She was known. She was one of the only oncology certified estheticians in all of Atlantic Canada.
Nice.
This woman knew what she was doing, and she was teaching for Extreme as a side gig on top of being an instructor. And when I left my course with her, that I loved how she taught. She took a medical approach, and it was all my jam. I remember leaving and calling her a week later and saying, Jen, I've never worked in a salon. I don't know how to book appointments. I don't know salon etiquette. I can't open and become a lash technician. I just can't. And she's like, I know. She's like, there's a lot of people taking this course. She said, but what I'll tell you, she was serving at the time, by the way, on the Cosmetology Association board. And she had said, I just want to tell you, there's a license coming. It will be regulated. I said, okay. She said, you'll be grandfathered in because you're already established, as is everyone else that already has a livelihood of clients. Because when you instate a license, you can't take away somebody's livelihood if they're already established.
Yeah.
They have to grandfather you in as is. So I went and took courses. We got special permission for me to apprentice under her. And with her having trained in Britain, her standards were superior compared to any school in New Brunswick when it came to aesthetics. And from her, I learned threading, brow lamination, lash lift, lash tint, color theory. Back then, I even learned services that people that have never even heard of. It wasn't even called a lash lift back then. I'm going to date myself, my God. It wasn't even, it used to be called semi-permanent mascara.
No way.
Or lash lamination. There was no such thing as brow lamination. It was lash lamination before brow lamination. And then it was, and they used to also call it brow Botox, which was bizarre because it wasn't actually Botox. No. They were talking about the service of changing the look of the hair. So in theory, Botox changes that look, but it was for the hair, and it made no sense when those services first came out. Like, it made no sense at all. And we're talking 15, 16. So
you've been in the game for a while.
So I learned everything, and I learned lash lifting back then, which is like brow lamination and lash lifting is big now, but I learned it back when it was being pioneered. So I've got to see the changes, and I even knew like the company LA Bana, they invented lash lifts. LA Bana invented it, and they're from Australia, and the owner is Otto Mitter. And so I had a conversation with LA Bana because, I'm sure you've heard LA Bana, me drop that name a few times the past couple days.
Do you want to share why?
We could say, sure, I'll just say it now. So I met with Bana, which was so amazing to me. I was fangirling because they pioneered lash lifts. They invented it, and they have evolved and developed so many incredible products. They have the science and the money to back it. They're a massive company, and Otto got to speak at LashCon, and sure enough, on Saturday night at LashCon, we attended the Lashies, which is called the Grammy Awards of the lash technicians. And so we attended the Lashies on Saturday night, and we found out that Beauty Prodigy won 2 awards for our TikToks. And we actually won training with LA Bana, which was like come full circle because I learned lash lifting way back when it was being pioneered by LA Bana in 2016. And I come out of there with their full brand new kit of products, all of it. And now my team is going to be learning with the company that pioneered lash lifts and brow laminations, which was so cool. So cool. Totally got off track though. We got way off track. Can you go, please ask your question again so I can get back on track.
We are talking about the significance of beauty prodigy. So why don't you tell me what it means to be a beauty prodigy?
Well, the significance, in short, was I trained with Genevieve. Genevieve, I got to know her. I started going to meetings with her, and she would introduce me to her, or to other people as her prodigy. And because I was her last student she ever taught. And she said, I tried to teach one more after you and I fired her as a student. Like, she was like, I won't teach anybody else. You've learned, I've taught you everything, go out into the world. And this woman is trained in Britain, like has trained oncology certified esthetician. I love her. Genevieve, she knows it. And I still speak very highly of her. I have mad respect for this woman. She's on Instagram, go follow her. She would introduce me as her prodigy to people. And so down the road, when we started to open the salon, I thought, everything I've ever learned from Genevieve is still a very big part of my practice. And everything that she taught me are things that I still pass on to my employees and my students that I take for work term. I want to pass on more wisdom than just skill. The thing is with schools and curriculum, they're skill focused, they're skill heavy focused. But what makes you a better esthetician, a better lash technician, a better waxing technician, a better nail tech is understanding science and understanding why. Understanding why your lash lift is formulated with keratin and what that result will give you and what the difference is. That alone is going to make you a better technician. I don't focus on just skill. I want you to understand the why. And it makes you so much more confident to answer questions when you are asked. And so I started to notice my staff have adapted it, like boom, boom, boom. They're following my way. They're following my standards. And I was like, okay, these are prodigies. And then my clients have also been saying in reviews, like one of my favorites, one of my clients I've had for many years, she's a realtor in Fredericton, Jen Mailing, comes and she gets her brows done. She's been doing it for years. And she'll say, like, when I leave your room, I know I learned something different every single time. My clients are educated because I also believe the more educated your client is, the more loyal and more understanding they are. And it's not just get your hair dyed, get hair conditioner, get shampoo, and only use these, protect your color. It's not like that.
Yeah.
Like, I literally break it down. This lash lift, like my girls are getting lash lifts and they're coming in, like my clients, they'll lay on the table. I don't do the whole run of the mill, get into a salon, lay down, get your service, get up and leave, pay and leave. That's not what I do. When you come in, I'm asking you, how's your diet? How's your stress? What do you do to your lashes? How do you treat them? What kind of mascara do you use? I want to know all of these things. And then I'm going to tell them why I asked them those questions. And then during the service, I walk them through. I say, okay, now I'm applying step one. This is step one. Here's what we're doing and why. This is what it's doing to your lashes. Step two, step three, so on. And at the very end, I do the same thing. And then they are so well educated when they leave. It's created a stronger bond with my clientele.
Yeah.
It's understanding. They appreciate it. And what I noticed is that my clients now are so well educated. I have clients who come in and say, my friend had lashes and she doesn't have a shampoo. And I told her she needed one because da 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 da. And,
love that.
And then my other friend is like, my friend got her brows hennaed and she wasn't given a conditioner for her brows. And I told her, blah, 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 blah. So now my clients have started to become prodigies.
That's so powerful, Sam, because one of the best marketing tactics that you can have for free is that word of mouth. So they're going out into the community and not just saying, oh, I go to Beauty Prodigy. I go to Beauty Prodigy because da 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 da. They do this service like this, da 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 da. Oh, your lash tech does this. Well, the girls at Beauty Prodigy do it like this because of this. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's such a healthy way of promoting in a free way too. And it's just through your passion for education.
It is. So that's where Beauty Prodigy also came from, was the fact that I was Jen's Prodigy, and it was the name, she called me that. So it's a nod to her out of respect, number one, for teaching me and guiding me and taking me under her wing in a time where she absolutely did not have to.
Yeah.
And she did it with me and taught me and guided me and then consulted me after and was there for every phone call and message when I needed it. And then my students and my employees started to become my prodigies, but so did my clients. So when you walk into Beauty Prodigy, whether technician, work term student, or client, you walk out a prodigy too. You'll always be included. It's not just us and a team and award winning technicians who think we're above or anything like that with the name Prodigy. Prodigy, our clients are what make us prodigies, because without you, we wouldn't be learning.
It's truly a community that you've built, which is so beautiful. Oh, Sam, great answer, love. All right, let's move along. So you went through this rebrand during the height of the pandemic, when spas were one of the first businesses to be shut down regularly during all these waves. How did you navigate that, and how did you stay afloat with all these obstacles in your way?
So I was shut down. I gotta backtrack. When was that? May? Yeah. No, March 2020. So at that time I was still by myself, which was fine. I was renting from a nonprofit organization, and they simply wrote us, all the tenants, a letter and said, listen, if we have to, it was all, okay, let me backtrack. I was renting from a nonprofit organization, but it was in this large complex building where the bottom floor was hospice house for those terminally ill, but the very top floor was all medical health and wellness suites. So my neighbors were massage therapists and Reiki and psychologists, and so I was in that mix. And they locked it down, obviously, to protect those that were in hospice. They locked down probably a day or two before, like, the province locked down. But they actually wrote us all a letter and said, if we're barring you from coming into a place in which you rent, we are not going to charge you rent as a non-for-profit. So I was very fortunate, and they didn't until July.
Yeah.
So I had those several months, and then of course, just like everybody else, I got the assistance I needed, and I was still by myself, so I didn't have to worry about anybody. But I took that time to also reflect and figure out where I was going and what I wanted to do. And it was in August that I had just reopened. In July, I had a client who then said, I'm an esthetician and I want you to teach me. So yeah, and it just kind of grew from there. The lockdowns, though, for the most part since then, have only been like a week, 2 weeks, which is definitely survivable, because what happens is when you start to get the rumble or you know, whispers that we're going to shut down, oh my, it's like you get slammed. I remember, it's so funny, there was a salon in Fredericton, a very well-known salon, that also heard that we were closing down at midnight. They stayed open until 11:59 p.m. the night before and slammed out all their clients. And that's what everybody was doing. That's what was happening in Fredericton. When we were getting word that we were being shut down for 2 weeks for like a circuit breaker or whatever reason, we were slammed. People were coming in flocks. Even if they just had their lashes in the week before, they wanted a touch up. And then the day we opened up after every lockdown, we were slammed. We were doing 99s. Like, it was insane. So the money may have been lost for a week, but we more than made up for it the day before, the day after.
Yeah.
Like, we survived it. It was fine. If there's anything that I will say that came of it, is the resilience of the Beauty Prodigy team. Because starting out with no clientele, if you're a new graduate, is not easy.
Yeah.
It can take anywhere from 6 months to 2 years to build a clientele, especially if you're a salon that's introducing innovative new types of services that nobody else has.
Hello, vajacials.
Yeah, and Kayla, for example, she is my biggest story that I like to tell about resilience, because she came in on November 27th and we locked down like 3 days later. And yeah, and she was brand new and she had no clientele. And I was giving her my clients to help her grow, and we shut down. And since then, from the time she started with me, I think we had 3 or 4 shutdowns.
Oh my gosh.
And January, February is always slow. Usually, you know, typically slow in salons. People are broke. They're paying off their credit card bills, you know, all those kinds of things. January, February, but it's ebbs and flows. Salon is always ebbs and flows. It's like back to school season and it drops. And it's like everybody wants their lashes for Halloween and it drops. And everybody wants their lashes for, you know, and it's like Christmas. And then it's like you're dead in January and then everyone's going down south in February. Well, the last 2 years, people weren't going down south. So that was very strange to have that lull for like almost 2 months straight, January, February. But Kayla would sit with me. She would come in for something to do, and she would sit with me and she would cut strips for wax, and she would stock the waxing sticks, and she would help clean. And still to this day, like my staff, my team, I do a commission-based pay structure. And my sugar order came in 2 days before I went to California, and Kayla called me and said, "Do you want me to come in and unpack it? I got nothing to do today." And I'm like, "Oh," and I'm like, "No, you're going to be holding down the fort while I'm away. Let me do that."
That's so sweet.
Because you're going to be, you know, and so she's been so resilient. And she stuck through all the shutdowns, and when she started, we hadn't even started renovating. We were still Vogue, but I told her that here's where we're going. And I swear anybody who came and that I hired probably thought I was blowing smoke. Like, this is what we're doing. Like, this is like, because what I was saying was like, we're launching this, we're launching that, we're expanding, we're building, we're doing new logos, we're going to have photo shoots, we're doing film, we're doing videography, I've got courses, I've got education. Like, when I started telling people the scale of where I wanted to go, when I sat with you 2 years ago and told you the scale, you were
had
like,
that conversation with you and sat there going, I'm sure you can do that, but what's first?
Yeah. When I first sat with you, at first I didn't have a plan. I didn't know what I wanted to do, but I just like literally word vomited everything. I was like, here's all the things I'm going to do, and you're going to help me with every single bit of it. Thanks. And you were like, okay, well, when you have a plan, come talk to me. So Kayla was the same. And one day I remember we were sitting there at a lash table, like cutting wax strips. And I was telling her, I just don't know. Like, people probably thought I was crazy. I looked at her in the face and I was like, we're expanding and we are going to be rebranding, and we're going to, and then at the time, rebrand meant rebranding, revamping Vogue, not changing the name. And I told her that, you know, I'm going to be doing all these things. And she believed me. She believed in it and she trusted it. And 3 days later, that girl we got shut down on her 3rd day on the job, and she stuck through all of it.
I know.
And Kayla in herself has an incredible story about how I watched her as a lash tech and, you know, sat with her one day and was like, "You're done doing lashes. You're not doing them anymore." And I pulled that away from her, and she still stayed with Beauty Prodigy.
And found her passion throughout that. And the fact that you were able to say, hey, you're not passionate about this. You're not happy doing this. Let's find what that is. Like, now she's doing facials and vajacials, and like, oh my gosh, she's an incredible sugarist. She's like probably one of the top sugarists in the city, if not, like, I can't think of anybody else that can rip it off in 15 seconds the way that girl did.
It's gonna sound funny, but so I was listening to a podcast from Jay Shetty. I listen to him all the time. I love that man. So he's just so calming. I love Jay Shetty. So he had a podcast where he was talking about like investing in people's strengths, not their weaknesses. And that a lot of times people sink so much time and effort into improving their weaknesses that they kind of stay in a plateau. And the light went off in my head. And I was like, this is what's happening with Kayla. She's doing lashes, but it's not her passion. And I could see it. Yeah. She would do that when she was doing lashes, and I could see her from across the room. So we were in a shared room, and I was like, that girl does not have joy. I was like, she does not. But her joy was so sparked. Because she did a wax for me. We did a demo. She waxed, and I was like, oh, that girl loves like hair removal. And I could just see it. And that's the thing about an educator, seeing the passion too.
Yeah.
You need to be able to identify it within your students when you're an educator. Know what areas they excel in, know where they are passionate. And I could see it. And I sat down with her. It was like February. I was like, listen, you stuck out 2 lockdowns so far. You've got next to nothing for clientele because we've had these shutdowns. But on top of that, I'm going to take away lashes from you. And she's like, okay. I'm like, yeah, you're going to be a waxing specialist. And then 2 weeks later, she comes in and she's like, I have an idea. And she like busts into this room. And it was so funny. She's like, what do you think of sugaring? I'm like, sugaring's always been on my radar. That's amazing. She's like, great. So we just like started putting the feelers out, finding the education. Boom, girl took off. Like that girl just did 13 sugarings back to back from 5 to 8 p.m. on a Wednesday night because that girl is a sugar wizard. She can sugar somebody in 20 minutes and the average Brazilian takes 45 and she can do them in 20.
Unreal. And she'll make you laugh throughout the whole thing. Like she's just such a lovely person.
Our reviews consistently say, I've never laughed so hard while having that done in my entire life. And it is hilarious. So yeah, Jay Shetty, I listened to his podcast and he was talking literally actually how he explained it was, you can't tell a goldfish to go run in the savannah and act as a lion for the rest of its life and survive.
Yeah.
You can't take a lion and tell a lion they're going to live in a fish tank for the rest of its life and expect it to survive. They will lose their joy. They will die. They will die very quickly because of their environment. And so it was right then and there, the light bulb went off and I went, Kayla's not happy doing lashes. She's not going to do lashes.
Yeah, but I love that didn't end anything for her. Mm-hmm. It was just like, okay, well then you invested in her as a person.
I did.
Like, okay, so yeah, I believe in you. I like you. You've already shown me that you're willing to come in here and clean and stock and do all this. You're obviously committed to being a beauty prodigy, or I guess a Vogue Lash Studio employee at the time. How do I keep you and invest in you and nurture who you are and your skills? Like that's really, not a lot of people would do that for their employees, right?
Yeah, it's so true. And I do. I strongly believe, I don't believe in taking a student that's fresh out of aesthetic school, throwing them on the floor and expecting them to provide all services they learn in school.
Oh my God.
No. That is a surefire way, a straight shot to them losing their joy. And oftentimes they don't stick with the industry because they lose their joy. Yeah. So I find your strengths and we go get you the training and we improve so that you become a prodigy in your own niche within the beauty industry.
Yeah.
And that is more value to me that you show up doing exactly what you love, not only what you half love. If you don't like pedicures and you're doing pedicures and you're straight out of school, you're going to lose your joy.
Right? And it's about being a career rather than just coming in and doing a job. It's how do we keep you in the industry for a long time and keep you within your passion and stuff like that. Like you really feed into that, which is just wonderful.
Oh yeah. My new slogan, I offer careers, not jobs.
Okay. What was one of the most challenging aspects of your rebrand and what advice would you provide to business owners that are going through a similar thing?
Patience.
Yes.
Yeah, patience. It's scary.
So scary. You're making a big investment. You're hoping you'll see a return. It's going to take time because it's a lot of changes. You got to build things up. It takes people like 8 times to see the same thing to make a purchase. Like, you know what I mean? Like good things really take time. And we've been working together almost all year.
Just that concept, the 8-time concept, I had to break that down and explain it to my staff this way. I was like, okay, it's sponsored ad that pops up on your stories and it shows Beauty Prodigy, okay? And I have that like as a paid ad to cycle through Instagram for 2 weeks. Are you on your phone every single day for 2 weeks straight, every hour to see that cycle through 8 times? Probably not. For you to see that one ad 8 times, it's probably going to take 6 months before you see it the 8th time. Exactly. Which means on average, the average consumer has to see an ad 8 times before they consider buying or investing. So you need to see Beauty Prodigy's ad 6 times. It may take 6 months before you see it the 8th time to come in here. And so when I launch out that ad, people will freak out. Like people will freak out when they launch an ad and think, oh, nobody's buying, it's not working. Nobody's buying, it's not working.
Yeah.
It's the subconscious conditioning of advertising that you need to wait for, and it will take 6 months. And you and I have seen it. we get DMs in our Instagram that's like, hey, I've been watching you for a while. Hey, I've been wanting to come for you for a while, and I think I'm ready. But it's been like 4 or 5 months, and it's
We're
like
planting those seeds, and it's finally, you know, sprouting and everything. But it is patience. Oh my gosh.
It's true. No truer words. And I people only see it at face value, but I will say consistency is key with advertising and marketing. And you don't know what that means until you understand it and you have people messaging you saying, hey, I've been watching you for a while.
That's so validating. That's amazing.
It's true. And that's how I explain it to my staff, because my staff are like, well, you did a paid ad for me and I didn't, you know, I'm not booking and I'm not getting it. I'm like, it's patience.
Yeah.
Patience is the biggest key. It is terrifying. It is scary. I got into the habit a long time ago with being uncomfortable, because if you're comfortable, you're not growing.
I so agree.
This right here, I was not in my headset to do this right now. I am disheveled. I flew for like 13, I was awake for 24 hours. Not only did I have the 4 hours ahead of time in California, we had daylight savings while I was there.
Oh.
I was awake 24 hours getting there. I was awake 24 hours getting back. I slept on my lashes. I went to put my contacts in, pulled all my lashes out of my face. I am disheveled. It is Sunday, but guess what? I am uncomfortable, and this is what real entrepreneurship looks like. And I hope you all see it, because this is a whole new level of discomfort for me. My voice isn't even fully back because LA had a really bad smog problem when I was there. So like I sound raspy. So this is a whole new level of discomfort for me, but I hope you all see it, embrace it.
But this is what it is, right? Like this is, I very appreciate that you gave me this hour today, but like that's what it is. It's pushing yourself through different, you know, comfort levels. You going to LashCon, like we didn't even see that in the cards last month, and that was just something that whipped out of nowhere, and you were like, you know what, this is a great opportunity. I'll come back. I told you so many products.
We decided to go 2 weeks ago, by the way, in case there's anybody watching. I threw a wrench in Ashley's all marketing plans. She's like, I'm coming in, I'm going to do videos, I'm going to do this, and we're doing this on this day. And I'm like, no, we're not. And she's like, why? I'm like, I'm going to California.
But worth it, and all like the connections and stuff that you made there.
And then a week later, I was like, by the way, Michaela's coming.
And Kayla's gonna run the show here. I was like,
okay. And Kayla did amazing.
She did amazing.
Michaela learned so much.
Oh my gosh, it was
we got a
but everybody had to step out of their comfort zone to make that happen and stuff too, right? Like that's just an ongoing thing that you need to try to find the comfort within the discomfort.
It's so true. It's so true. Yeah, it was not a part of the plan. But honestly, I've known so LashCon is ran by this thing called Lashcast, right? And this is the 3rd annual, and last year's got canceled and they did virtual. But I've always followed, and Michaela, I had actually had plans to do it virtually this year and tune in and take the Saturday, take the Sunday, and just tune in and take notes and take a part of all the classes. And then I got, you know, every now and again, I am a travel addict. If you follow my own Instagram, you'll see all my highlights are like Utah, Poland, like all these things. So I was just Googling one day, I was bored, and I was like, I wonder how much flights are to California. And in the States, because of COVID, flights are stupid cheap right now. So I Googled the flights from Fredericton. It was only $500 round trip to go to LA. So then I was like, borders opening. If I fly from the US, I wonder how much cheaper I get it. So I got mine and Michaela's flights round trip to California for $600.
Damn.
Yeah. So of course I went to LashCon. Never in my life am I ever going to be able to like afford that, despite just rebranding, but also like have that opportunity. Yeah. And if you go watch mine and Michaela's live, you'll hear the backstory of how I got the tickets. Like,
yeah, that's a really great live too. You guys should go check that out after this. It's on the Prodigy page. It's all about their trip to Los Angeles, what they learned there. If that's your kind of thing, that was a fantastic live that you guys did. Also, so proud of you guys for showing up. So I started a whole new marketing strategy on my account, and I was like, well, I'm going to start applying bits and pieces of that to Beauty Prodigy strategy and just see if it could be applicable across any account. And the lives are going so well. It's such a nice chance for you to come on in like a non-curated way and just show who you are, connect with your audience, just be, you know what I mean? Like, just be show up in your Lash pajamas. Like, you know what I mean? It's a great way to connect. So I
love
that you
when
guys are
people
taking
ask
on.
questions. That's the whole new challenge, because like sometimes, like when we do lives, like Ashley, bless her, she writes me a little, not a script, but like prompts.
Show notes.
Yeah. And, but what I love is when it's questions here, like if you have any, ask them please. That is just, it's off the cuff, and I can give you the truest, most authentic answer that I possibly can. And that's what I love. I love unscripted. And of course, as you know, I have a new project I'm going to be implementing, speaking of live, and I've already decided none of those are going to be scripted. So
I love it.
it'll be really, really fun. But yeah, it was great.
Don't spill the beans yet, though. You know
Never.
me.
I learned my lesson.
Okay. What else do I have for you? Oh, let's talk about creating jobs during the pandemic. So you brought on Michaela and Kayla. They rode out, we already talked about how they rode out with you during the shutdowns and stuff, but you just hired on 3 new beauty prodigies. Talk to me about that experience. Talk to me about how October became this huge blow up month for Beauty Prodigy.
So we had Keisha, who is still a beauty prodigy. For those who follow her, again, as if you've missed you missed what we said a few minutes ago, clients, staff, students, everybody wants a beauty prodigy, always a beauty prodigy. I raised you, so I will always have that responsibility that I carry with me, that I taught you the way that I did for a reason. And Keisha was a very big part of that. So Keisha was our 4th, including myself. So we were a team of 4. And her partner got an incredible job opportunity in Newfoundland. So she is in Newfoundland. However, the day that she left, she looked at me and said, I can't change my Instagram name back from Beauty Prodigy. And I said, you're always going to be one. So take it. Keep that name. You earned it. Keep that name. You earned it. And it's like little emotion.
I feel like crying too. I miss her.
So, and we talk quite often. She's a prodigy of Beauty Prodigy. So anyway, then we were looking for a replacement for Keisha, because we had built that clientele, and it was getting busy. Like, and we were all
have to go back to work. That was something.
Yeah. Yeah. So a lot of people don't know this, but I retired from clients. Well, I told people that at LashCon, they're like, you what? So I learned my lesson in all of this, that I'm only one person. So I'm retired. So I retired from clients. And because I needed to run the show, like run everything. And so I needed to replace Keisha. So we hired Emma, and Emma she's a Keisha transplant. It's like the craziest thing. The first day she showed up, she got dropped off in the exact same car that Keisha drives. Like, it was wild. So yeah. So anyway, she's doing great. She's growing. I'm teaching. She's got her exam this month. I'm really, really excited for her. And then we just started growing and growing. And I knew that I wanted to have at least 2 more. If I had 2 more technicians, whether they were lash or nail or esthetician, we would be at full capacity. Like every square inch of my salon would be in generation of income, which is the dream. You want you don't want empty chairs. You don't want an empty aesthetics room. You don't want an empty nail desk. So I knew if I had 2 more, I could have all the square footage generating revenue. So we put out that ad, and we got Emma first, and then the ad was done. The hiring process was done. And then we got a message from 2 people. Now, here's the cool thing. Even though we advertise on our website, you always have the opportunity to apply at Beauty Prodigy. People, this is a fast-paced industry, just like the restaurant industry. People quit, people join, things happen, people move. We did not expect Keisha to move on. We all cried. We still talk. We called her from LashCon. Like, it was amazing. And so we know that you never know when a vacancy could pop up. And for that reason, the ability to apply at Beauty Prodigy is always an open process on our website. You can upload a resume, you can upload a cover letter. And when I'm looking to hire, I'll go there first before the advertisements.
Yeah.
And I watch your portfolios, I watch your work, I watch on Instagram, all of it. And so these two gals literally just threw up some applications on the internet. It wasn't even through the ads. And one of them, the last one we hired, I think it was Katie. And Katie was like, don't know if you're hiring right now, but just thought I would submit. And I was like, all right, let's get you in. Now, here's the thing though, when I get an application, I call you right away. Like you will get a phone call directly from me, not my team, because trust me, I have a team who manages a whole lot of things that I don't have time for. But when a job application comes in, you hear from me.
Yeah.
And I call right away and I don't offer you an interview. I say, okay, here's how Beauty Prodigy works. And I'm like, here's my expectations. You can't do this, you can't do that. Here's all of my things. Yeah. And it's not to be, I don't want it to sound off-putting, but it's just, I'm putting my expectations out there because right off the bat, like first thing I'd say is, you're going to change your Instagram name when you join Beauty Prodigy. It is a job requirement because the last thing I want to do is hire somebody and fight about it after they've already signed their paperwork. 100%. So right off the bat, you join Beauty Prodigy, you change your Instagram name. Otherwise you can't be a part of Beauty Prodigy. One of the hardest struggles is like people who are self-employed or coming from somewhere like else that have already been in the industry. And I say all of your clients have to have a valid credit card on file. I don't care how old they are, if they're a teenager or otherwise. If they're not willing to put their credit card on file to be a client of Beauty Prodigy, you can't come to Beauty Prodigy. So are you willing to give up your clientele, or do you have so much faith in your clientele that they'll follow you no matter what and they'll abide to our policies? Yeah. So I had that conversation right off the bat. And if there's something that doesn't work, then at least I'm not wasting your time any further and you're not wasting mine any further.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Yeah, so that was the big thing with hiring. And so I hired Needy, I hired Katie, and I called Katie. That Katie was, Katie could probably speak to it. Like I probably was a little bit intimidating because I know like Katie is unique. I bless her. She's great. She's very, very successful. She's a great technician, but she was very unique in that the others I all hired as like new baby lash techs who hadn't really broken out into the industry yet. But Katie's been doing this for a year and she was actually self-employed. So for her coming on with me, it was very like, let's have an upfront conversation about what it's going to be like now you transitioning from self-employed to payroll. And here are my expectations. And I laid it all out for her and she was like, I'm in.
I love
because I show you the systems, right? Yes, it's intimidating. Yes, I have expectations, but what we offer for marketing and training and health and wellness, and we put your ergonomics first, stands out.
Yeah, the fact that you can show up and do what you love and not have to worry about trying to find clients and all these different things. Like you take care of so much of the running the business side of them that they can just come in and do what they're passionate about, which is truly beautiful.
Right. And that's why I told Katie, because I said, at the end of the day, here's going to be the defining moment for you. You're self-employed, but when you leave Beauty Prodigy, you're done for the day. You don't need to correspond back and forth. How about this time? How about that time? Oh, that doesn't work. How about this time? You don't need to do that with your clients anymore. You shouldn't have to.
Yeah.
We have a system in place for you so that when you leave Beauty Prodigy, your time at home is your time at home. Your mental health matters to me and you do not become burnt out at Beauty Prodigy.
Yeah.
Because if I start to see signs of it, we make changes.
It's a great place to work if anyone's looking for a job. Oh, you're gonna like this question. So you took a leap of faith and hired a marketing director this year to delegate your rebrand and social media tasks to. So how has having a marketing director supported your business growth?
Pass.
I'm getting fired after this conversation.
So I wrote this in March on my Facebook. I don't know if you remember this. I wrote a Facebook post in March and I didn't know how much weight it would carry, but I know now. And my post was, Sometimes hiring somebody to help with your social media is the best form of self-care.
Oh, my heart. Pardon me while I cry.
Do you remember that post?
So
It's
what
the
does
day
it
I
mean
signed
to
my
you
contract.
now?
It was the day I signed my contract. Because I was at a point where I was overwhelmed. I had employees. I was learning how to do pay stubs. I was learning how to do payroll. I was learning labor laws. I was learning how to manage them. I'm learning HR. I'm a therapist. I'm the HR person. I'm the boss. I'm the trainer. I'm the motivator. I'm the leader. I'm the educator. But I had to be the social media marketing curator too. The photographer, the reel maker, the TikTok maker, the post maker, the live person. It was a lot. And I was, my social media was dying because I didn't, at the end of the day, have the time. I didn't have the mental energy. I didn't have the capacity. Not only that, but I was still at a place where I still wanted to learn something about brand consistency. And not just in the consistency sense of showing up regularly, but also keeping your branding cohesive.
Yeah.
That is so hard. And I still see it today. Like when you have to do brand, and that's a big part of social media. Like you have to be cohesive on all areas.
Yeah.
Does your website logo, like the website colors have to match your social media? Your business cards better match the colors on your social media.
It's your brand voice too. Like how you show up in your lives needs to be the same way that it reads on your website. Like there's so many different aspects to it that need to align that it's hard to be consistent.
And with me, it's always about gratitude and grace. I always want to show my appreciation because I would not be here if it wasn't for half of our viewers right now. They are so important to me. I value them. The prodigies of Beauty Prodigy are what makes a Beauty Prodigy. And I wanted to always show that gratitude. And it's always been like this organic, earthy, nature, spiritual approach. Because of that, and I'm big on like natural products and using the clean products when and where possible because it's beauty, and things like that, and being eco-friendly. And that's why we chose like the earthy tones and the like mossy green and the earthy and the terracottas and things like that. It is a big part. And so having you come aboard, number one, we were Vogue, and we went back and forth. Oh my God, the trials and tribulations of the highlight cup.
The logo,
was like a 2-month
colors,
like,
but that's why I'm here, right? It's so you have somebody to bounce through all those things until you get it right.
Right, and just having you do that, like I feel confident now that like if I wanted to write a post, I could, and I could still make it cohesive and use the same fonts and use the same colors. Just learning like the whole, like I used Canva. Believe it or not, a lot of people don't know this, but I used to be a social media marketing manager.
When Facebook was a good thing.
When Facebook was a good thing and Instagram wasn't even a thing. And when I sat down with Ashley, I said to her, look, like I used to do this and I used to run ad analytics and I did all of those things. I said, but here's the thing. I feel as though social media has surpassed my abilities because I hadn't touched it in like 4 or 5 years. I had Canva. I had, all of the things, but I felt like it had surpassed me because back then the algorithm was very generous. Yeah. It was a very generous algorithm. And when I sat with her, I said, I needed, my voice, the brand voice to carry. And I didn't know how. And oh my gosh, we've changed our bio a bunch. We changed our link in bio a bunch. We changed our highlights. Oh my God, the highlights. I swear, like I will remember that for the rest of my life. She sent me a whole bunch and I'm like, those look like flowers from the 70s. That does not speak Beauty Prodigy. What is that?
Lucky I don't give up.
And then another time she sent me a whole bunch and I'm like, that's not our color. Like, but yes, having somebody for social media, if not for 3 months, 6 months, someone to guide you.
Yeah.
At some point you will realize you're ready or you're not ready. And at one point I thought I was ready, but I wasn't. So we extended that contract because I hired 3 new people. and then at some point, you will learn and you will grow and you will carry on from that. And you know what? It's funny. I actually have people who asked me about you and your pricing for their lash studios in the States. And I was like, they were like, oh, but you probably have like a non-compete contract. I'm like, yeah, I kind of do. But if you're in America, you should call Ashley. Yeah. So, and everybody said, like, is there value in it? And there was actually a course that you could take that says when to know it's time to hire a marketing director. Like, there was a course on that, and that was really cool. So yeah, I always tell people, like, if you are overwhelmed, if social media is not your thing, if your branding and your posts don't match your Facebook, they don't match your TikTok, they don't match your website, your business cards have flashy pink letters, but your Instagram is mossy green, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Number one, what are you doing? Do not go on Vistaprint and create a boring templated business card and hope that it matches your Instagram. The paintings on the walls in our salon, you hold our business cards up to it and look at our wall, and it's like somebody threw a business card onto the wall and it matches. Your branding has to be so cohesive that that's brand recognition.
Yeah.
That is brand. When you see me on Instagram and you feel the energy and the gratitude that I always show towards my clients and my staff, you best feel gratitude when you walk in my doors. And if you don't, I want you to tell me, because I'll make sure you do before you leave.
That's amazing, Sam. You're killing this. Okay, on the same subject, what advice could you offer to business owners who are scared to start hiring staff or to start delegating tasks to contractors like me?
Who are scared?
Yeah, you're scared. So you've been a one-woman show, and then all of a sudden you had to start hiring people that you knew you had to pay. You started bringing on contractors like me who were going to come do a job for you, and you were going to somehow pay me every month. Like, that's a scary thing to say, okay, I'm going to commit to thousands of dollars a month to these different places. What's the value in pushing past that, like, scarcity and, like, accepting other people into your, like, bubble, essentially, to help you? Like, how did you get past that?
So the only way is to, it's action.
Yeah.
You have to put it into action. You have to do it anyway. You don't know anything about hiring or payroll. Guess what? You're going to put up an ad today and you're going to hire somebody tomorrow. And then you're going to say, holy shit, I just hired somebody. You're going to pick up your phone. You're going to call an accountant and say, I just hired somebody. What do I do?
Yeah. And figure it out as you go.
That's what you do. I have an accountant who does my personal and my business taxes as a solo, back when I was a solo, self-employed, sole proprietor. And I called up Patrick one day and was like, Patrick, I just hired somebody. What do I do? And he's like, okay, here you go. And he was like, go on the federal website, download the TD1 forms, give them to your employee. He's like, I'm sure you filled those out before. I'm like, everybody's filled them out before. He's like, great, fill them out, bring them in. And he's like, at the end of the next 2 weeks, I want you to write down the hours. I want you to write down what they brought in. Thank heavens I have an amazing booking platform that pulls all the analytics for me. Yeah. Tells me exactly what their commission is, tells me what their taxes are, tells me like everything, how they're performing. I just literally downloaded that report. I email it off to Patrick every 2 weeks. He makes a pay stub, done. Like, it's not as hard as you think, but it's getting there. Yeah. And if there are people who are scared, like, again, you have to get used to being in, like, I don't have fear of failure because I'm used to it. Failure, you have to get to a point in your life where you understand failure is going to happen no matter what. It's inevitable. As long as you are willing to embrace that and get over yourself and what other people are going to think when you do fail, you will come out the other end. Because you're already knowing that at some point you're going to fail. You're already subconsciously telling yourself you're going to have a plan.
Yeah. 100%.
So I have failed many times.
And it's about how you react to it, right? Is this the end of the world and you're going to throw it all away, all your hard work? Or are you going to say, oh, shit, you know what? I learned something from that experience and now I'm going to take that and go on.
And when something flops and you fail, sometimes the failure is going to hit you hard. Yeah. Sometimes the failure is going to roll off your back. Yeah. Sometimes the failure, like, it's how you also handle the situation. So when I fail now or something doesn't work, or like I'm in a moment where I need to decide, Ashley will tell you, I'm not reactive. She's like, come on, I need an answer. And I'm like, I'll give you 3 days.
Like, I'll talk to you after the weekend.
Yeah, there's times I message her and I'm like, I need to mull it over because I don't want to be reactive. That's wrong. I need to sit. I need to like stew. That's what she says, let me chew on it. And I'm like, let me stew in it. So that's usually how we say things around here. But if you're scared, you need to do it and you need to accept and get used to failure. You really do. You really do. We have failed. We've done marketing things that did not work in the last 6 months in Beauty Prodigy. And we're like, okay, let's pivot. Let's do the next thing. And now we have mental notes of the ways we will never approach marketing. And we have ways that we know we will.
Yeah.
For example, we were looking for, I think we were looking for models for something maybe back in June, maybe an influencer thing, maybe something like that. We just launched and it was a model call and it was like free and we couldn't get anybody. We just put out an ad 2 days ago for threading and we marketed it different and we filled it in like
an hour.
So we filled it in an hour.
You grow from your mistakes and stuff too. And that's something that I always appreciated about you is like throughout the rebrand, throughout all this, like it was a new business for me too, right? Daring Media only started this year. So we really like held each other's hand and was like, okay, let's figure this out together. Let's fail together and learn from it and adjust.
There was a day you called me and was like, I'm hiring, what do I do? Like,
SOS. Sam's also great for travel advice if anybody needs that. Sam, I have one question left for you, and then I'm going to let you go nap or whatever you need to do to recover today.
Hell yeah. All right.
So you've gone through so many changes and so much growth throughout the past year. What's the most important lesson that you've learned as a business owner throughout this experience? You can only pick one.
Most important lesson?
Yeah. What's something that really changed you as a business owner?
What's really changed me as a business owner? I think it's having more compassion in understanding with each team member, for example.
Yeah.
Everyone learns differently, but everyone has different needs as well. Whether it's physical, mental, learning, at home. Now, I drive very strongly to my girls, like emotional issues, problems at home. What I do when I show up to work, there's a mat outside my salon. I wipe my feet and leave my family problems at the door, and I pick them up on my way out.
Yeah.
And the girls know it. They'll tell you, I will never, ever, like if I have a child, her finger probably hurts in the morning and will delay me bringing her to school by 15 minutes and throw my whole day off kilter. But do I show up at work and be like, oh, Clara was late this month? I never take what happens at home to work. And teaching them that was very hard, but also modeling it and sticking to it, because we're not perfect. We're all human.
Yeah.
But it's me showing them the expectations of the workplace. And the part about that, yes, they all have different needs. They're all different, unique humans, but I still have to model to them the expectations remain the same. And the biggest one that I notice in that, especially in this industry, beauty industry, especially hair stylists, you see it, there's songs about it, gossip in the workplace. I don't allow it.
No, Beauty Prodigy's not catty.
And it's not even that, like if a client comes in and lays on the table and the first few words out of their mouth is, I was going to XYZ person or XYZ salon, first thing I say is, okay, you're here now.
Yeah.
My job is to fix what concern you have or deliver results that you're looking for or help you because you came to me for a reason. And I just say to them, when a client or somebody lays on the table and they start talking gossip, I say, I'm sorry, this conversation is not making me comfortable. I'd like to focus on your lashes.
I respect
Done.
that.
So I don't allow it. And if my staff come in, it's easy. You pick up that habit if you're surrounded by that too in your previous workplace.
Yeah.
So new staff, I'm really hard on them. And they start talking about ex-coworkers, ex-experiences, ex-staff. And I say, okay, but you're here now.
Yeah.
Go wipe your experiences out on that mat. You're here now.
Yeah.
So that is definitely the biggest thing with hiring, is teaching them our standard. And our standard, my standard for like the chattiness, the gossip is way up here. Like, I don't tolerate it.
No.
Because here's the thing, listening to gossip is a form of gossip. So I don't even allow that.
No, and it's not healthy. And your place, when you walk into Beauty Prodigy, it's instantly calming, and like it doesn't fit into that atmosphere, right?
It is. And that was the thing. So when I started seeing clients downtown, as I started to build my clientele, I noticed I was attracting a lot of high anxiety people. I did. I noticed consistently I was attracting high anxiety clientele. And what I noticed was all the clients who were like, they were flighty, they were fidgety, they were like hyper anxious, whatever was going on, especially even those coming on their lunch break, they're flustered, they got caught in traffic, they're in the middle of their work day and their energy's all over the place. And every single client, especially those types of people, would come in. They were the first ones to always say, oh, I could never fall asleep while you're picking at my face. First ones to fall asleep.
Lash
every time. And I have passed on that skill, that talent, that trait to Michaela. Yeah. Michaela has completely adapted it. And the girls the rest of my staff are well on their way. I don't care. Whatever it is you need for you are coming to Beauty Prodigy for self-care, and it's my job to deliver it. You're investing your time, your money in me, so I'm going to give you my time.
Yeah.
And you relax. We don't talk when you're getting your lashes done, because you are taking time out of your life to come and lay on my table. You're taking time to come and lay and get self-care, and I'm going to deliver on it. I don't care. Like, if you need a minute to pray, we will pray. If you need a minute to meditate, we will meditate. You want a weighted blanket? We'll give you a weighted blanket. You want essential oils? We got those. You got the ambient lighting. You've got the blankets. You've got the warmth. We have spa music that plays. I created that because I learned the psychology of the relaxation type services that are in beauty. And it's all about sensory, right? If you're chatting, you can't relax. Your client's eyes flutter. Yeah. And on average, a lash technician will lash somebody statistically 20% less. They're 20% less full in their lashes because you're too busy chatting. Your focus isn't where it should be.
Yeah.
It's all ties in together. It comes full circle. It's treating the clients that want self-care, who need that downtime, who feel safe in our workplace. They're not hearing gossip in the room. They're all sharing the same room. There's 3 tables. You're laying down, you're relaxing, you're sleeping, you're in your time.
Yeah.
I have clients who've written us reviews that say, you're the only place I can go to. Because of triggers. We live in a time where mental health is so apparent and we're open about it. People have triggers, and it could be an unintentional trigger that somebody else is speaking of on the next table over.
Yeah.
And that my client doesn't deserve to have that trigger.
Yeah. 100%.
So we don't talk. We just don't. Not only that, but one of the other things I noticed in like big lash salons, trust me, I've worked in a salon too, by the way, for those who don't know, I've done it. I hated it. Was techs were talking to, like, there was a lot of chatter in the room. Techs were talking to each other. Techs were talking to clients. Techs were talking to the client on the next table over. And what does that say when you're talking to the next client? When I'm talking to technician A over here, it's saying to my client on the table, you're not a priority.
Yeah, and you're investing
when I'm talking
in
to
that
the client
service.
over on the other table, it's saying, you right here in front of me, you're not. And the person that's paying for my time deserves my time undivided exclusively.
100%.
So that's what I've learned with having employees, is teaching them the discipline of why I do what I do. Because I know I'm different. I know I have high standards. I know that it's intimidating. I've heard students say, don't work for Beauty Prodigy because she's hard to work for. It's not that I'm hard to work for. It's that I have standards. And once you understand those standards and why I have them the way I do,
Yeah.
it's because I put my clients first and I put their health, their wellness, and their self-care first.
Yes, I love that, Sam. And your staff, you have a chiropractor that comes in, you teach them about the proper like posture and everything. Like it's at the forefront of everything that you do, which is just so incredible. Oh my gosh, we've talked for over an hour, which is very normal for Sam and I. Sam, you did a phenomenal job. This was a fantastic live. Thank you for going through all these questions with me, for sharing your experience. I really hope this inspires somebody to push through some hard times, or if you're looking to be a lash technician or you want to grow those skills, Samantha's definitely the person in New Brunswick that you should go to. Also, next week's live, our guest is Adrienne Goodine, who's a fashion designer. She sells her clothes at Robert Simmons. She sells her jewelry at Wet on Earth, and she has a studio downtown Fredericton. So she's coming on to talk to me all about her business, which is going to be super exciting, and I can't wait. So thank you again, Sam. I really appreciate you coming on and being my client and going through all these obstacles with me throughout this past year.
Thank you for accepting me as a sleep-deprived human coming from a 24-hour travel trip from California.
You're beautiful inside and out, so don't worry.
It's very real for me today. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Go take a nap, and I will chat with you offline soon.
Bye.
See you, Sam.